Hola, hello, welcome. In today's video, we're going to look at the 12-bar blues form and explain what that is. So, to get there, we got to get a little terminology out of the way. A bar is slang for measure. So the 12-bar blues form has 12 measures. And then it repeats. So, over and over and over again until the song is done. The other thing we need to understand, sometimes these are called 1, 4, 5. And those refer to the chords we're going to use. And what does that mean? The 1 chord is the key you're in. The 4 chord will be based on the 4th note of that scale of the key you're in. And the 5 note will be based on the 5th note of that scale. So if we're in the key of E, if I play an E major scale, and by the way, the minor scale would be the same because the 4th and 5th degrees of any scale are always going to be the same, whether it's major or minor. But we'll use E major for now. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that brings me to A. I started on E, that's what key we're in. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. So my 4 chord is an A chord. And now I'm going to go one whole step above that for my 5 chord. So my 5 chord will be a B. So in the key of E, my 1 chord is E, my 4 chord is A, and my 5 chord is B. These always have the same relationship no matter what key you're in. Another way of looking at that relationship is steps. The 4 chord is always going to be 2.5 steps above the 1 chord, and the 5 chord is always going to be 3.5 steps above the 1 chord. Or another way to think of the 5 chord to make it easier is always going to be a whole step above the 4 chord. So that's the form. So let's listen to what it sounds like. I'm going to walk you through it and just count out the measures, and we'll see how this works. So we're going to start in E. We use like a Jimmy Reed kind of feel. So 1, 2, there's our count. Now here we go. 1, measure 1, measure 2. I'm still in E. Measure 3, measure 4 will be the last measure on the 1 chord. Measure 5, I'm going to A. Stay there for measure 6. Go back to E for measure 7 and 8. Measure 9, I'm going to the 5 chord. Measure 10, I'm going to the 4 chord. And now here's that turnaround section. 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 5 chord. And now I'm back to the top of the next form, or the next chorus. So that's the basic form. One very common variation is to substitute the 4 chord in the second measure of a given form. So let me play that for you and see how that works. So I'm going to play 1 measure of E, 1 measure of A, and then go back and play my 2 measures of E. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Now here's my quick 4. And now I'm back to my 1 chord. And everything else is the same. Now I would go to the 4 chord and measure 5 and etc. So everything else is the same. So when you're at the jam and you want to play a song and somebody's leading the song, you ask, does it have a quick 4? Well, first you ask what key we're in. Sorry about that. Yeah, what key are we in? Does it have a quick 4? And what is the turnaround? In other words, what's going to happen in measures 11 and 12? Because that's different in a lot of the songs. Now, I have a written outline of this on my website with a couple of songs you can pick and listen to. I'll read a few of them to you. So Sweet Home Chicago, for instance, that's a quick Jimmy Reed feel. It has a quick 4. And the turnaround is 1 measure of 1, and then split the measure, last measure of 2 beats of 1 and 2 beats of 5. Sky is Crying, Stevie Ray Vaughan, a medium slow blues. That also has a quick 4, and that turnaround is 1 to 4 in measure 11 and 1 to 5 in measure 12. Got My Mojo Working, quick shuffle. Don't know quick 4. And the turnaround is one measure of 1 and then split the last measure between 1 and 5. Crossroads. I couldn't think of a feel, so I just wrote like crossroads. Anyway, crossroads, you does have a quick 4. And the turnaround is just the 1 chord. It doesn't ever change. So it's 2 measures of 1 at the end of that chorus. Hideaway, the one that's performed by John Mayall and Eric Clapton, is a kind of a up-tempo shuffle. It does not have a quick 4. That turnaround again is 1 measure of 1, and then split a measure between 1 and 5. And lastly, Sweet Little Angel by B.B. King. Slow blues with a quick 4. And the last 2 measures, measure 11 is the 1 chord, and measure 12 is the 5 chord. So you can see they're all a little tiny bit different. Well, I encourage you to get this in your ears. Practice it, listen to what it sounds like, and then go back and just listen to any records that you like, any blues records that you like, and see if you can figure out what the form is. One of the ones that I wanted to do for this video, one of the ones that I wanted to look at was Folsom Prison Blues, which I've heard for years and years and years. And I discovered, when I looked at this, it's an 11-bar form. It does not have a measure 12. And it doesn't turn around, it just stays on the 1 chord. But yeah, I never listened to it that closely to realize that it wasn't a 12-bar blues. It was 11 bars. And I've played it many times, and I've played it 11 bars. I haven't counted them. But anyway, enough about me. So, that's an explanation of what the form is. Again, usually 4 measures of 1, but it could be a quick 4, followed by 2 measures of the 4 chord, back to the 1 chord for 2 measures, 1 measure of 5, 1 measure of 4, and then the turnaround in measures 11 and 12. And you really do want to get to know, one final note, you want to know these inside and out, at least for your natural keys, because you can always figure out the other ones. But you want to know that if you're in the key of E, the 4 chord is A and the 5 chord is B. You just want to know that. In the key of G, you want to know that the 4 chord is C and the 5 chord is D. You just got to know these things. So that's something, if you don't know those, I highly recommend you study them. And by the way, you're going to find this form in other forms of music, not just blues. You'll find it in country music all over the place, and all kinds of genres. 1, 4, and 5, very popular. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, hit the like button down there and subscribe, all that good stuff we like to do on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching, and the written lesson is at my website, robhigg.net. That's www.robhigg.net. End of shameless plug, end of video lesson. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.